everyone, my name is Mizun. Today I went to the library to buy this book called The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. In this book, it also has the same series like The Little Princess, Anne of Green Gables, Heidi, Little Woman, Pride and Prejudice, The Railway Children, and Jane Eyre. In this book, it also have 27 chapters. But today, I'm just only read to you the first chapter. 1. There's no one left. When Mary Lennox was sent to Mr. Weiner Manor to live with her uncle, everybody said she was the most disagreeable-looking child ever seen. It was true, too. She had a little thin face and a little thin body, thin light hair, and a sour expression. Her hair was yellow and her face was yellow because she had been born in India and had always been ill in one way or another one. Her father had held a position under the English government and had always been busy and ill himself. And her mother has been a great beauty who cared only to go to parties and amuse herself with gay people. She had not wanted a little girl at all, and when Mary was born, she handed her over to the care of an ayah, who was made to understand that if she wishes to please the Mansable, she must keep the child out of sight as much as possible. So when she was a sickly, fretfully, ugly little baby, she was kept out of the way. And when she became sticky, feathery, toddling thing, she was kept away the way also. She never remembered seeing familiarly anything but the dark face of her ayah. And the other native servants, and as they always obeyed her and gave her own way in everything because the Mansable would be angry if she was disturbed by her crying. By the time she was 6 years old, she was as timidly and selfish a little pig as ever lived. The young English governors who came to teach her to read and write disliked her so much that she gave up her place in 3 months. And when other government came to try to fill it, they always went away in a shorter time than the first one. So if Mary had not chosen really to want to know how to read books, she would never have learned the letter at all. One fiery hot morning, when she was about 9 years old, she awakened feeling very cross. And she became crosser still when she saw that the servant who stood by her beside was not her ayah. "Why did you come?" she said to the strange woman. "I will not let you stay. Send me ayah to me." The woman looked frightened, but she only stunned that the ayah could not come. And when Mary threw herself into a passion and beat and kicked her, she looked only more frightened and repeated that it was not possible for the ayah to come to Miss Sahib. There was something mysterious in the air that morning. Nothing was done in its regular order, and several of native servants seemed missing, while the warm Mary slunk hurried about with a shy and scared face. But no one would tell her anything, and her ayah did not come. She was actually left alone, and the morning went on, and at last wandered out into the garden and began to play by herself under a tree near the veranda. She pretended that she was making a flower bed and stuck by scarlet hibiscus blossom into little heaps of earth, all the time growing more and more angry and muttering to herself things she would say and the name she would call Sadia when she returned. Pig, pig, daughter pigs, she said, because to call up the native pigs in the worst insuitable. She was gritting her teeth and saying this over and over again when she heard her mother come out on the veranda with someone. She was a fair young man, and they stood talking together in low, strangest voice. Mary knew the fair young man who looked like a boy. She had heard that they were a very young officer who had just come from England. The child stared at him, but when she had a chance to see her, because of Mem Sahib, Mary used to call her that often than anything else, was such a tall, slim, pretty person who wore such a lovely coat. Her hair was like a curly silk, and she had a delicate little nose which seemed to be distilling things, and she had large, laughing eyes. All her clothes were thin and floating, and Mary said they were full of lace. They looked fuller than the lace than ever this morning, but her eyes were not laughing at all. They were large and scared and lifted imploringly into the fair boy officer's face. Is it so very bad? Oh, it is, Mary heard her say. Awfully, the young man answered in a trembling voice. Awfully, Mrs. Lennox. You ought to have gone to the hills 2 weeks ago. The Masoret wrung her hands. Oh, I know I ought, she cried. I only stayed to go to the silly dinner party. What a fool I was! At the very moment such a loud sound of wailing broke out of the servants' quarter that she clutched the young man's arm, and Mary stood shivering from head to foot. The wailing grew wider and wider. What is it? What is it? Mrs. Lennox gasped. Someone has died, answered the boy officer. You did not say it has broken out among your servants. I did not know, Mrs. Hip cried. Come with me, come with me. And she turned and ran into the house. After that, appalling things happened, and the Mrs. Cholera had broken out in its most fatal form of people were dying like flies. The Iron had been taken ill in the night, and it was because she had just died that the servants was wailing in the huts. Before the next day, 3 other servants was dead, and others had run away in terror. There was a panic on every side, and dying people in all the bungalows. During the confession, the bell went on the second day. Mary hid herself in the nursery and was forgotten by everyone. Nobody thought of her. Nobody wanted her. And a strange thing happened, of which she knew nothing. Mary attended, cried, and slept through the hours. She only knew that the people were ill, and that she heard mysterious and frightening sounds. Once she crept into the dining room and found it empty, though a partly finished meal was on the table and chairs and plates, looking as if they were being hastily pushing back. When the dinner rose suddenly, for some reason, the child ate some fruit and biscuit, and being thirsty, she drank a glass of wine which stood nearly filled. It was sweet and she did not know how strong it was. Very soon it made her instantly drowsy, and she went back to her nursery and shut herself in again. Frightened by baby cries, she heard the huts by hurrying sound of feet. A whine made her so sleepy that she could scarcely keep her eyes open, and she lay down on the bed and knew nothing more for a long time. Many things happened during the house in which she slept so heavily, but she was not so disturbed by the wails or sound of being cried up a bungalow. When she awakened, she lay and started on the wall. The house was perfectly still. She had never known it would be so silent before. She heard neither voice nor footstep, and wondered if everybody had got well on the Chora and all the trouble was over. She wondered also who could take care of her now her Ian was dead. Where would her tell or new Ian? And perhaps she could know someone's stories. Mary had been rather tired of old ones. The stories old ones. She did not cry because her nurse has died. She was not an affectionate child and had never cared much of it for anybody. The noise of hurrying about the wailing of the Cora had frightened her, and she had been very angry because no one seems to remember that she was alive. Everybody too panic-stricken to think about the little girl no one had fun of. When people had a cholera, it seems that they remember nothing but themselves. But if everyone had got well again, surely someone would remember and come to look for her. But no one came, and as she was lay waiting, the house seems to grow more and more silent. She heard something rustling on the matting, and when she looked down, she saw a little snake gliding along and watching her eyes like jewels. She was not frightened because he was a harmless little thing who would not hurt her in the room, and he seems in a hurry to get out of the room. He slid under the door as she watched him. "Now, quiet it is," she said. "It sounds as if there is no one in the bungalow but me and the snake." Almost the next minute, she heard footsteps in the compound, and when the vendor, they were men's footsteps, and the men entered the bungalow and talked in low voices. No one went to meet her or speak to them, and they seemed to open doors and look into rooms. "What desolation!" she heard one voice say. "That's pretty woman. I suppose a child, too. I heard there was a child, though no one has ever saw her." Mary was standing in the middle of the nursery when they saw an open door, and a few minutes later, she looked in an ugly, cross little thing and was frowning because she was beginning to be hungry and feel disgracefully neglected. The first man who came in the large office, she had made one scene talking to her father. He looked tired and troubled, but when he saw her, he was so startled that he almost jumped back. "Barney!" he cried out. "There is a child here, a child alone. In a place like this? Mercies on us! Who is she?" "I'm Mary Lennox," the little girl said, drawing herself up stiffly. She thought the man was very rude to call her for the bungalow. "A place like this? I fell asleep when everybody had the chore, and I have just waken up. Who does nobody come?" "It is a child no one ever saw," exclaimed the man, turning to his companions. "She has actually been forgotten. Why was I forgotten, Mary said, stamping her foot. Why does nobody come? The young man, whose name Barney, looked at her very sadly. Mary even thought she saw him wink his eye, as if to wink the tears away. Poor little kid, he said. There's nobody left to come. It was a strange and suddenly way that Mary found out that she had neither father nor mother left, that they had died and been carried away in the night, and that the few native servants who had not died also had left the house as quickly as he could to get out of it. None of them even remembered that there was Miss Sahib. That was why the place was so quiet. It was true that there was no one in the bungalow but herself and the little rustling snake. Thank you for listening to me. In the next video, I'm going to read the next chapter. And goodbye!